This is the 25-minute grounded flow for those days that you just don't want to get off the ground, or for those of you who have a reason you can't be weight bearing on the legs. We'll get started lying down on our backs, and if you'd like to stay here for a while in stillness, pause the video and stay as long as you'd like. But we're going to dive right into this. So when you're ready, let's bring the knees up into the chest. Give them a squeeze, hands on thighs or shins, and maybe just rock around on the back a bit. Massage out that low back. And then let's switch your hands over to that right shin. Let your left leg relax out. You could hold on to shin or thigh on that right leg. And then we'll inhale and start to take your left foot up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, lower it right back down. And just do that a couple times at your own pace, starting to find a rhythm and a dance to your breath and your movement. The next time you lower that leg, we'll let it hover just off the ground. We'll start to curl the chest up towards your right knee, head coming off the ground, but neck staying relaxed. Breathe nice and steady. Option to release your grab on the right leg and just reach for your feet. Maybe one hand comes behind the head to support the head and release the neck. And then one more option to take that right leg and kick it up towards the ceiling. For your last couple breaths here, maybe cross your legs like a twist tie. Squeeze through those inner thighs. And then exhale, release all the way back down onto the ground, knees into chest. We'll switch to the other side, so left leg stays in with hands holding shin or thigh. With your inhale, your right leg will lift up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, lower your right leg towards the ground. Just a couple more times here, following the pace of your breath. The next time that leg lowers, let the leg hover off the ground just a couple inches. And then from your low belly, start to let your chest curl up off the ground. Neck is relaxed here. Face is soft. Steady breath. Option to release the arms and maybe take one hand behind your head. Option to kick your left foot up towards the ceiling with both legs straight now. And then for those final breaths, the option to twist tie your inner thighs, so crossing the legs. And then exhale, release. Come right down to the back, knees into chest one more time. We'll let your arms come out with your shoulders or in line with your shoulders, knees over hips. We'll start to let the legs fall side to side, trying to keep the knees right in line with the hips. Start pretty shallow here as the legs go side to side, and then start to let it get deeper and deeper. Keep both shoulders on the ground to the best of your ability. And if you want to make this a little bit more challenging, legs can come out to straight for this side to side action. And as your legs lower towards the right, the feet will head towards the right hand. And then as they lower to the left, they'll head towards the left hand. A couple more rounds here. When you're ready, we'll start to roll ourselves over onto our right side. Don't mind me as I fix my hair here. But we'll just find our way to the point where the left hip is stacked over the right hip and your left shoulder is stacked over your right shoulder. And you'll support your head with your right arm. And just let yourself get comfortable here. It's not so important what the shape looks like. Just let your body be stacked. We're going to keep your feet together and lift your left knee up towards the sky. And then lower your knee back down. We'll do that a couple times. So feet stay together. And then you're just lifting and lowering that top knee. Moving at your own pace. The next time your knee comes down, let the knees come together, lift your foot to the sky, and then we'll lower and lift the leg with your left foot higher than your right, or your left knee, excuse me. So knees will tap, and then you'll lift the leg. Foot staying higher. And then we'll roll over onto our back. Take your feet up to the sky, point and flex the feet a couple times. And then let's cross the ankles, press up through the heels, get into the side legs a bit. And then recross with the other foot in front. And we'll roll over to the other side. So you'll come onto your left side, hips and shoulders stack, support your head. Keep the feet together and we'll start to lift and lower that top knee. Just find a pace that feels right for you. And then the next time the leg lowers, we'll bring the knees together. Your right foot will lift higher than the knee and start to lift in that shape. So the foot will stay higher than the knee every time you lift the leg. Again, moving at your own pace. And then let the legs come back together. We'll press ourselves up to a comfortable seat. So Sukhasana, easy seat if that works for you. And we'll find a rotation towards your left. So right hand across to your left knee, left hand behind you. Find lots of length through your spine, all the way up through the crown of your head. And then we'll rotate around to the other side. Left hand across to the right knee, right hand behind you. Big breaths into the belly. And then we'll untwist, recross your legs with the other leg in front. And we'll get a side lean. So left arm reaching out to the side, right arm up and over. Your left elbow can stay lifted or it can come down to the ground, whatever feels better. Just make sure that both of your sit bones stay connected to the ground. And then we'll come over to the other side, right arm reaching out, left arm reaching up and over. Slowly start to lift right back up to that tall seat. And we'll bring your knees into your chest for boat pose. So maybe the toes stay down on the ground for balance. Maybe the legs lift. Maybe release the hands. You can stay there, lower down on your exhale, Ardha Navasana. And then inhale, lift back up. And then we'll roll to your right side as your hands reach to the left as you lower this time. And then other side, roll to the left hip as your hands lower to the right and come back up. Down to center and back up. Over to the right hip as you reach to the left. Good. And just continue to follow that pattern, center to the right, to the left, moving with your breath. If you'd prefer just to lower to center without the rotation, great modification for this. If you'd prefer just to hold in boat pose, that's also a great modification. And then let's meet up in Baddha Konasana, bound angle, with the hands behind you for a little bit of a front body stretch. So soles of the feet together, knees opening, fingertips guiding your lift through the chest, through the sternum, through the crown of the head. And then we'll roll over onto hands and knees and come into table for some cat-cow. Inhale, heart forward as your belly drops. And then exhale, round the spine, let your head drop in between your arms. Just move through those two shapes a few times at your own pace with your breath. And we'll end up in a neutral table, flat back shape. Try to keep your low back neutral, and we're going to isolate the cat-cow movement between your shoulder blades. So you'll puff up between the shoulder blades and then let that area between your shoulder blades depress down. So low back will stay as neutral as possible. Continuing here at your own pace, a few more rounds. And we'll start to walk the hands forward for puppy dog pose, trying to keep the hips over the knees. Your forehead could come to the ground or maybe your chin. Really just let your heart drop in towards the ground. And we'll walk the hands back into table. We'll take your right leg back and your left arm forward. And for some reason, you can't put that much weight onto the left leg. Keep the leg down and just do this with the arm. Really tapping into the core power, the center of your support here. Try to inflate your low back. And then we'll let the shin and the hand come to the ground. We'll inhale, left hand up to the sky, and we'll thread that left arm underneath the right arm, palm face up, come down onto the outer shoulder. Your left cheek will be on the ground. Your right hand can stay on the floor for support, or it can wrap around your back for a half bind. And just let your gaze be out along the floor, so don't kind of turn into your neck in funky ways. Your cheek is just simply laying on the ground. And we'll start to press back up into table. Your left leg will come back, your right arm forward. And again, remember, you can modify this as you need to. We'll just hold here, really tapping into your belly and that power of your core to support and stabilize your low spine. Release the hand and shin back to the ground. We'll take your right hand up to the sky, thread the needle other side, come down onto the outer shoulder, your right cheek. Keep your left hand down if you'd like, or wrap it around your back. We'll make our way back up into table, and then we're going to walk ourselves into plank with the knees down. So your knees will come behind the hips. We'll lower into a supported chaturanga, so elbows pulling straight back, and then we'll press back up to a supported plank. We'll do that a couple times, little yogi push-ups with the knees down. And then we'll lower all the way down onto the belly, low cobra, weight barely in the hands, coiling the heart up, and then we'll push back up into supported plank. Good. Little yogi push-ups again. Make sure your shoulders are staying back away from your ears. We'll lower all the way down again for your low cobra. Make sure your legs are active, thighs engaged. We'll push back up. Let's do that one more time. So 2 little yogi push-ups. And then we'll lower all the way down onto the belly, low cobra. And then let's walk the hands out in front of you for Sphinx Pose. Elbows below your shoulders. Palms flat into the ground. And we'll coil up here in Sphinx. So we're going to turn this into core work. So you'll start to push into your elbows, lift your ribs, your belly, your thighs off the ground, and then let your thighs, your belly, and your ribs come back to the floor. So we'll roll up ribs to thighs, and then roll down thighs to ribs. We'll just move here a few times at your own pace, following your breath. We'll let ourselves lower all the way down onto the belly, arms reaching in front of you, forehead on the mat. Keep everything down except your right leg. Take that right leg and lift it up. Really try to lift from the muscles around your right sit bone. And then let that leg lower down. Let's lift the left leg. And then lower the leg. And we'll switch sides, right leg back up. And lower. And then left leg. And lower. And this time we'll lift both legs up. We'll start to lift your head up. We'll take your arms, reach them back for your feet for Locust Pose. And if you prefer, you can bend your knees, grab your ankles, and find bow pose instead. Breathing deeply into the belly, even though it's pressing into the ground. And we'll slowly lower, create a forehead pillow on your forearms, and let your feet just sway side to side a bit. We'll slowly make your way over into Dandasana. So seated on the sit bones, legs out in front of you, legs straight. We'll sit up nice and tall with the hands coming beside your hips. And then we'll lift your right leg off the ground and then lower. And then your left leg and lower. So lifting and lowering one leg at a time with your breath. Try not to slump around in the back at all. It's as though there's a wall right behind your back. And then let both feet come to the ground, and we'll softly fold over your legs. Again, trying to keep as much of that long line of energy through your spine as possible. Hands might be on the ground beside your legs. They might grab onto your feet or your big toes. Just allow yourself to find length all the way up the back side of the body. The back of the legs, the back of the spine, back of the neck. And then we'll roll ourselves back up to sit. So option 1 is going to be to repeat those simple leg lifts one at a time that we just did in Dandasana. Option 2 is going to be to grab your blocks and give your hands something to sit on beside your hips. And we'll start to press down into the ground and lift your butt up off the floor. And you can do that a couple times, lifting and lowering with your breath. If you're feeling powerful today, maybe instead of just the hips lifting, you lift the feet as well. And we'll just lift and lower a few times with your breath. Any of those options, one leg at a time, just the hips and feet. And then when you're done, let yourself just fold right back over the legs again. Paschimottanasana, finding length. Sternum and crown of head pulling towards your toes. And then let's come up for Janu Sirsasana. So let's keep the right leg straight, left foot to the inside of the thigh. We'll rotate the belly button towards your right thigh and fold over the leg. Again, maintaining that length, hands wherever they comfortably settle around or on that right leg. And then lift up, let's switch sides. Left leg straight, right foot inside the left thigh. Rotate over that left thigh and fold. When you're ready, we'll make our way back up and we'll start to transition down onto our back for some leg lifts. So once you're down on your back, you're going to let your index finger and your thumb settle under your low back or butt. And we'll take a feet to the sky. Legs can be straight or softly bent for this. And for a few rounds with your breath, we'll exhale and lower legs towards the ground. And then inhale, lift them right back up. Trying to maintain as much ease in the upper body, neck, and face as you can. The next time your legs lower, we'll pause with them about 50% of the way to the ground, halfway down. Keep your right leg there and then lower your left leg about another halfway to the floor. So about 75% of the way down on that left leg. And then bring the left leg back up to meet the right. And then we'll lower the right leg to about 75% down. And then we'll lower the left to meet the right. So both legs are about 3/4 of the way to the ground. And then slow inhale to lift them all the way back up. Release your hands, take your left foot to the ground, right leg will stay up, and we'll support the right thigh, calf, or foot for Supta Pada Gustasana. And just begin to settle in here into the shape and into the stretch. And we'll go ahead and switch side. Left leg coming up, right leg releasing out into the floor. Hands can be on the back of the left hamstring, the calf, or on the left foot, whatever feels most comfortable today. And then we'll lower both legs down into the ground. Grab a block. Let's slide that block underneath your low sacrum, so right above the ridge of the butt. And on it, the block can be on its low or medium side. And then we'll just settle into a supported bridge pose. Arms can settle by your sides or all the way up overhead. If for some reason this is too much weight on the legs, the feet, the low legs there, just take the block out and let the knees fall in on each other. Breathe in deeply to the front body, the side waist, the outer hips. And then we'll let your hands come down by your sides. Release that block from beneath your hips. Let your hips come back down to the ground. And we'll let your knees fall over to the right for a twist. Arms can come out in line with your shoulders. So your legs can really be in any shape that feels good in this twist here. Just make sure your knees, your hips, and your low back all feel comfortable. Maybe if it feels good, your right ankle comes over that left thigh for a little added IT band stretch. And then we'll switch over to the other side when you're ready. Again, for these last couple breaths, maybe your left ankle crosses over that right thigh. And then we'll come back up to center. Knees bent, we'll cross your right ankle over your left thigh for thread the needle. Bring the legs in towards your torso and either grab onto the left thigh or the left shin. Find a sense of release around the hips and in the shoulders. And breathe deeply into the stretch. And then let's go ahead and switch sides. Left ankle over right thigh, holding onto that right leg in whatever way feels best, and most importantly, allows your shoulders, head, and neck to release on the ground. You shouldn't feel as though you're overly reaching to hold onto the leg. And then we'll release the legs, come into happy baby, either with the grab behind the knees or on the feet or the ankles. Let's keep right leg in happy baby. Let the left leg drop out onto the mat, either bent or straight. And then just let the right knee soften in around your right waist. You can support, again, outer foot or behind the knee with that right hand. And then we'll go ahead and switch. Your left leg will come in for happy baby. Your right leg will release either bent or straight out onto the ground. And let this stretch be not one of force, but one of just settling in to whatever shape and depth presents itself to you. Creating depth through ease, not through forcing it to happen. And then we'll release the left leg to meet your right. Let your legs stretch out onto the ground. We'll take the arms up overhead, grab onto the opposite arm, either wrist, forearm, or elbow. Let the arms soften into the ground. And then we'll switch which arm is on top. And when you're ready, you can release the arms by your side. Settle in for Shavasana. Allow your body to get really comfortable in whatever shape you choose. And stay for as long as you have time to stay today. Thank you for practicing with me, yogis. Namaste.